let's listen again and let's try to answer the question about numbers. If you notice that the first number that is mentioned in the recording is already written, which is 30 kilos, absolutely
And
full, one
one bag.
bag. Oh, bravo.
Okay.
Now let's listen
But
again and let,
23 kilos for bag and 17 pounds and a day for every kilo overweight.
amazing. You still remember, Saria.
Yes.
You have that
7
good
kilo.
memory.
7 كيلو times ده طلع a fortune بالاخر
Less fortune.
$250.
Wait,
Yeah.
250? Are you sure?
dollars.
250. Maybe. Okay. By the way, Saria, be careful about the numbers that are going to mention in the recording. They are too many. And if you have a paper with pencil, please try to write
Okay.
or register all the numbers because this is about the question. We have to write all the numbers down and we have to know about what do they refer to. Okay? So let's listen and let's be careful.
At 9:20.
Wait, I think I have to start over. Let me do it. And let's listen again.
Tape script 8.10.
Good morning. Where are you flying to?
Dubai.
And how many bags do you want to check in?
Just this one.
Fine. Put it on the scales, please. Oh dear.
What's the matter?
I'm afraid it's overweight. It's nearly 30 kilos, and you're only allowed 23.
What can I do?
Well, you can pay for excess baggage. The rate is, £18.75. That's $37 per kilo.
So, 7 times £18.75, that's,
That's £131.25 or $259.
Goodness, that's a fortune. But I'll just have to pay it.
Okay. And just the one piece of hand luggage?
Yes, just this bag.
That's fine. Here's your boarding pass. You're boarding from gate 6 at 9:20. The gate will be open 45 minutes before the flight. Have a good journey.
Thank you.
So hard mission. Let's write all the numbers that are mentioned in the recording. What is number 1? And what does it refer to?
1 for bag.
Okay. 1 bag, 30 kilos.
30 kilos.
Yeah.
30 kilos for
And the permission.
his bag.
The permission is what, Ibrahim?
23.
Bravo.
23 kilos.
This is
And
what
the
bravo.
rate is
18.75
18.75. Bravo. 18
pound per
pounds 75. Exactly. What is this 18 pounds 75?
is
The rate.
or $74.
Bravo.
Rate. Okay.
And what
Rate.
about
$37 per kilo.
per kilo? Exactly, 37. Bravo, Brahim. $37 per kilo. It is not clear.
The total is
141.
131. I heard
Bravo. It's 131.
31.25.
Bravo,
point
25. So 100.
The second amount,
31, yes.
$259.
$259. Yes.
Wait. Thank you so much, Brian. But I have a question. You said 131.
And 31.
Exactly.
No.
Pounds, 25.
Yes.
Am I right?
0.25, yes.
What about dollars?
$259.
Yes,
$259. Exactly. What else?
Nothing.
One piece.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's all.
Gate 7.
Gate what? Are you sure?
Gate and 45 minutes.
The gate will open
The,
in
the
45 minutes,
in
bravo.
41.
Yes. But
yes.
what is the number of the gate? And
Uh,
what time?
9 يمكن 9 or 7. Yeah,
And
9.
what about the time of the flight?
لا قالت له بعد في 45 minutes to open.
Bravo. But what about the exact time? At what? Do you need me to tell you or to repeat the recording?
Repeat the recording.
Repeat the recording. Let's do it. We still have the number of gate and the exact.
The second part.
The second part, yes. Let me try to play the correct part, yes. So let me play again.
Tape script 8.2.
$159.
Goodness, that's a fortune. But I'll just have to pay it.
Okay. And just the one piece of hand luggage?
Yes, just this bag.
One piece.
That's fine. Here's your boarding pass. You're boarding from gate 6 at 9:20. The gate will be open 45 minutes before the flight. Have a good journey.
Thank you.
6 gates and
Bravo.
9:20.
Gate
9:20.
9:20
9:20.
Mm.
Exactly. 9, I have to write 0, absolutely. 20, this is 20.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
45 minutes to open the gate. Yes.
Bravo. After 45 minutes, thank you so much. So these are all the numbers that are mentioned in the recording. Be careful about numbers, especially if they are long. As I told you, sometimes I don't listen carefully and I will commit a mistake, especially with the credit card numbers and telephone numbers, because any different number, absolutely, it is a mistake. Okay, it is the end of Unit 8. Now it's the time to start with Unit 9. The most important thing, and I will tell you, is conditionals. Conditionals is one of the most important lesson in English. I know that maybe in the past you avoid using conditionals, or maybe you decided, at least at once, to not use conditionals at all. There is no way out of using conditionals. You have to use it. Maybe you are using conditionals unconsciously, but the problem is you have to use it correctly. Okay, I think, guys, it is the time. I still have 10 minutes. I will do my best just to explain conditionals. Conditionals, as I told you, is one of the most important thing in English. We have to know how and when we should use conditionals and what are the 4 rules. Now, let me show you the 4 rules, and I have to tell you the difference between them and even when should I use any rule of them. So conditionals, this is conditionals. Now I should tell you why approximately 70% of students commit horrible mistakes in mentioning conditionals because they don't differentiate between these 4 rules. Let me show you the rules, and absolutely I will show you an example about every rule. I'm not going to change the example. I'm going to use the same example over and over again just to show you the rules, how I should apply the rules, and then, which is the most important one, to show you the difference between them. But I want you please to give me 1 minute for this file to be opened. This is about conditionals, and these are exactly the 4 rules about conditionals. Try to keep them in your mind, memorize them, and apply them all the time if you want to speak or maybe if you want to write. In conditionals, if I want to say conditionals, guys, I have to remember that we have 0 conditional, the first conditional, the second conditional, and even the third conditional. So as I told you, I have to split my screen into 2 because I will write the example for every rule. Okay. Now, exactly these are the rules of conditionals. Rule number one, or the zero conditional, is saying if I want to use if, for example, now I want to use simple present tense with the if clause. Now, in the main clause, I have to use simple present again. Let me write the first example. The example, or the easiest example I can tell you is, if you study, you pass the exam. You pass the exam. Now, notice here I used zero conditional. Why? Because this is if. This is if. This is study, which is simple present tense. This is the if clause. Sorry, I have to write a comma to separate the if clause out of the main clause. Okay. Now, the main clause, I use simple present again. So pass is simple present again. Now, let me give you an example about the first conditional. If I want to use the first conditional, I have to use if with simple present again, but be careful because in the main clause, I have to use will plus verb zero, or I can say infinitive. I'm not going to change the example as I told you. Now, the same example, if you study, now I have to say, you will pass the exam. You will pass the exam. So this is about the first conditional, because in the first conditional, I have to use if in the beginning or maybe in the middle. I will show you the difference. Simple present, this is simple present study. This is the if clause. Now, comma, this is comma. I have to write will. This is will plus verb zero, which is infinitive. Pass is infinitive or verb zero. Now I have to show you the second conditional and I have to write an example. Now in the second conditional, I have to use if, but here I have to use simple past tense. Now in the main clause, I have to use would plus verb zero again, or I can say infinitive. I'm not going to change the example. So if I want to say if you studied, okay, you would pass the exam. You would pass the exam. So this is about the second conditional. Now the final conditional, which is the third conditional, is saying if you want to use if in the if clause, now I have to use past perfect tense. Now in the main clause, I have to use would, have, verb 3, or I can say past participle. So let me write the same example applying the third conditional. Now if you had studied very well, comma, okay, you would have passed the exam. So this is the third, the hardest rule of conditionals, which is the third one. If you studied, this is if, absolutely, this is if. Past perfect, this is had, plus verb 3. Now in the main clause, I have to use would, plus have, plus verb 3. This is would, this is have, this is the past participle. So these are all the rules of conditionals. I know that you know the rules, but the problem is not with the rules. The problem is when should I use every rule? I remember that one student in the past asked me this question, teacher, what is the difference between if you study, you pass the exam, if you study, you will pass the exam? I think they are the same and the meaning is the same. To be honest, it's not the same because one of them is wrong. Now, where is the wrong sentence? The wrong sentence is number one.
The first.
Bravo. Why the first one is wrong?
How can you study and pass the exam at the same time?
If you want to study very well, Ali, will you pass the exam? Yes, you will.
Yes, but I said because both are present. So how can you do both at the same time? And you need to study
It's
first.
correct. This is the zero conditional. The zero conditional is saying that you have to use simple present, simple present.
But why
okay.
why we study this case
Why do
if it's wrong? The zero.
it's wrong because of what, Ibrahim?
He mean, why we study the zero if it's wrong?
Okay. Let me tell you why. Be careful about the zero conditional. The zero conditional all the time should be used with facts. Don't use it with
Oh,
something which maybe happened or maybe not. Let me show you this example. This example is saying, if you put a stone in water, it sinks. So notice simple present tense. Simple present tense. I didn't say it will. If you remember in the past, I told you that the verb will is about probability. Maybe yes, maybe no. So if you want to say, if you put a stone in water, it will sink. Maybe it will sink today, but maybe tomorrow, if I want to throw it, it will not sink. So this is wrong. So be careful about zero conditional. Zero conditional is about facts all the time. Let me give you another example for the fully understanding. Now, if you want to say, for example, if you sleep early, comma, because this is the if clause, you wake up early. You wake up early.
it's a fact.
It's a fact. I know what you are thinking, Ibrahim. Some students in my class told me, but teacher, all the time, I sleep early, but I wake up late. Wait, I'm talking about normal people. If you have a problem, it's not. Okay, I'm talking about normal people who are living normal life. Okay, so this is a fact. Because it is a fact, I have to use verb zero all the time. Okay, another example. If I want to say, if you eat junk food too much, if you eat fast food,
You get fat.
bravo, fast food, you get fat, bravo, I have to say, cannot say you will get fat, but I have to say you get fat. So this is a fact. Because this is a fact, I have to use verb zero all the time. And I know that maybe in the past, maybe someone told you the name of this lesson is if conditionals. It is not if, because it is easier for me to replace if with when. If you want to replace if with when, the meaning is still the same. The meaning doesn't change at all. If you want to say when you study, you will pass the exam is correct. And if you want to say if you study, you will pass the exam, it is correct. Okay? So be careful because the conjunction if has the same function of when.
In all cases,
In
we
all
can
cases,
use.
without any exception, Ibrahim.
Oh,
Okay?
mhm.
Okay. Wait, because I know what you are thinking of. A certain student in the past told me, but how, teacher, I should study for a certain exam and fail the exam? Yes, it happens, for example, to too many people. Let me give you an example. Maybe I will tell you that, guys, after 1 week, we have an exam about 10 units. Maybe, Ibrahim, you want to study only 8 units because you don't have free time just to complete your studying. Now, in the exam, all the questions I will ask you is only about the last 2 units. Will you pass the exam? You won't.
No.
Although that you studied for the exam, Ibrahim, but you didn't pass the exam or you wouldn't pass the exam. So it's not a fact. Okay? So this is why the first one is correct. This is grammatically correct, meaningfully is correct. So the first one, bravo, is correct. Okay? So use will all the time. If something maybe will happen or maybe no. Now let's go back to the rules because there is something important I want to mention. One of my students asked me this question, but teacher, when should I use every rule? I don't know the exact way I have to use every rule. Be careful, because we said that the number one is only for facts. The first one is for the future. The action doesn't happen yet. It will happen in the future. The second conditional is for the present. And the third conditional is for the past.
Yes.
Exactly. I know what you are thinking again. You want to ask me this question, how the second conditional is for present, and here I used simple past because the second and the third is about unreal, is about something impossible to happen. For example, if I want to say,
تمني
yes,
تمني لأنه احنا
bravo,
نتمنى نوع عندنا.
it's like wish. If you want to study, if you studied, you would pass the exam. You didn't study and you didn't pass the exam. Okay? So this is unreal. It's like a wish. Thank you so much, Saria. It is the same with the third conditional. The third conditional, guys, is always for the past. It's not the second. The problem of some students, they use the second conditional for the present. It is not for for the past. It's not for the past. It is for the present. Okay? Is that clear?
And the last one
Yes, doctor.
is
For
for
the
present
past.
or
For the past, Ibrahim.
past. Oh, okay.
Okay? For example, if you had listened to me in the past, you wouldn't have failed the exam.
Okay.
Okay,
هيدي
Ibrahim?
منا تمني منا وش هيدي.
It's not wish, but it is something unreal, impossible to happen. Okay? Note why? Because Ibrahim, you didn't listen to me. And even, yes, and the problem happened. Okay?
Mm.
Now I have a question for you, and be careful about this question. Can I say such a sentence? For example, instead of saying, if you study, you will pass the exam. Can I say you will pass the exam? You will pass the exam if you study. Can I say such a sentence?
Without comma.
Bravo, exactly, without a comma. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. So be careful about using the conjunction. You can use the conjunction in the beginning of the sentence, or maybe you can use it in the middle of the sentence. But be careful if the conjunction is in the middle, you don't have to write a comma at all. Only you have to write a comma to separate the two clauses if you want to use the conjunction in the beginning. Let me show you this example. I know that in speaking, no one knows if you are using a comma or no, but in writing, absolutely they will know. Let me give you this example. This example is about a fact. This fact is saying if the wind blows, the trees move. So this is a fact, and because this is a fact, I use simple present tense, simple present. And because I started my sentence with the conjunction if, I have to use a comma. But if I want to start my sentence with the main clause, or maybe if I want to use the conjunction in the middle, notice here that I don't have any commas. So be careful, okay? Maybe we have another example. This is another example. Notice in the next example, we are still talking about facts. So notice if I drink coffee after 3 p.m., comma, I don't sleep at night. I didn't say I want to sleep at night. So be careful, this is a fact. Don't tell me that I drink coffee after 3 and I sleep. Again, we are talking about normal things, normal people, everything is normal, exactly. So this is a fact. I use simple present, and because I
Thank
started...
you, doctor. Thank you, doctor, for telling
yes, please.
because I'm
Please, come
abnormal.
on. I
Because
think we
I'm
have a problem.
I drink coffee and get to the bed. I go to the bed and I sleep well.
Your
I'm
nerves are
abnormal.
dying.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. I'm abnormal.
Again, it's the nature.
Exactly.
Uh,
Okay. So notice if I want to use if in the middle, there is no comma at all. So be careful because it is really important. Still, I have a question. Now, what if I want to say, for example, instead of saying well, if I want to say, if you study, you can pass the exam. Is it correct? What do you think?
Again, please.
Again, now, Ibrahim, if I want to
Okay.
say, if you study, instead of writing well, I want to write can. If you study, you can pass the exam. Is it correct?
But only,
You could?
here,
Yes. Bravo, Hanadi. Yes, it is acceptable. Okay. What if I want to say, if you study, you may pass the exam? Is it correct?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. So
Mhm.
if you want to use shall, for example, if you study, you shall pass the exam. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. So notice that it is not a must to use well all the time. You can use shall, you can use may, you can use can, but be careful about the past of them, because the past of them should be used only for the second conditional. For example, if I want to
Only
say
could.
if you studied Bravo, could, not
You
can,
could.
please. So
Oh.
here I cannot use could, I cannot use might, I cannot use should. Be careful. Only should, might, and would should be used in the second. Could,
Instead of would.
Bravo, instead of would. Okay?
Mm.
So all of them approximately have the same meaning, but don't use them in a massive way. I mean only the present for the second conditional, sorry, for the first conditional, and the past of these models in the second conditional only. Okay?
Mhm.
One final rule and we will be finished. And the most important rule, be careful about the second and the third conditional. Why? Because they are unreal. Because they are unreal, you cannot use was anymore. You have to use were all the time. Please be careful. Take a look at this example. If I were you, or if I were shorter, I would wear heels more. I know that the normal rule is saying that after I have to use was, but was is wrong. So was is not considered correct. You have to use were. You have to use were with all the pronouns, with I, with he, with she, with it. You have to use were. Notice the example. If he were here, I would hug him. Okay? So please be careful. Again, only in the second and the third. Why only in the second and the third conditionals? Because they are considered imaginary, unreal, hypothetical conditional, sorry, which is not going to be changed at all. It is like a wish.
Result mean the same.
Okay, guys?
Yes.
So this is about conditional. Absolutely. The next class, we have many exercises about this lesson we will apply. And even we have a passage about conditionals. Okay?
Just a question, teacher.
Yes, Ibrahim.
This rule about where I wear shorter, the first conditional and the second one?
No, yes, it is about the second and the third conditionals.
The
Ibrahim.
second and the third. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Why? Because they are unreal. It is impossible to happen. But notice that the first one, it is already a fact. And the first conditional is about the future. It's not
Yeah.
about past. It's not about something happened and it is over. I cannot change it. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you
So
for
this is about so please, if you want to say if I were rich, don't say if I was rich, please. If I were rich, I would buy this thing and this thing. So don't say if I was rich, because this is the biggest mistake. Okay? Why? Because I am not rich at all. Okay? So this is it. If you have any other questions, you can ask me before leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and have a nice night.
Good night, doctor.
Bye bye
Good
bye
night.
bye.
Bye bye.